can we stop it? How? Most of the human beings in the world are part of a religion which guide and ordain their lives. Is there any religion which promotes environmental crisis? All the religions emphasize on preserving and protecting the earth, nature, animals, and all the living beings. The way to stop the ecological crisis are through the ways of religion. Being not only part of a particular religion, but also by practicing what it teaches, we can stop the environmental crisis and preserve the earth. What various religions speak on ecology and how can we save the earth?
Hinduism contains numerous references to the worship of the divine in nature in its Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, Sutras, and other sacred texts. Millions of Hindus recite Sanskrit mantras daily to revere the rivers, mountains, trees, animals, and the earth. Although the Chipku, the tree-hugging movement, is the most widely known example of Hindu environmental leadership, the diverse theologies of Hinduism suggest that the earth can be seen as a manifestation of goddess and must be treated with respect. Many of the Hindus touch the floor before getting out of bed every morning and ask Devi to forgive them for trampling on her body. Millions of Hindus create columns daily, artwork consisting of bits of rice or other food placed at their doorways in the morning. These columns express Hindus' desire to offer sustenance to the earth, just as the earth sustains themselves. Ahimsa to the earth improves one's karma. For observant Hindus, hurting or harming another being damages one's karma and obstructs. Sannyasa represents a path to liberation and is good for the earth. Hinduism teaches that asceticism, restraint in consumption and simplicity in living, and represent a pathway towards moksha, liberation. Reincarnation creates a sense of solidarity between people and all living things. Through belief in reincarnation, Hinduism teaches that all species and all parts of the earth are part of an extended network of relationships connected over the millennia, with each part of this network deserving respect and reverence.
Jainism has been staunch protector of nature since inception of the Jain faith. Jainism in fact paves a way to understand the nature's utility and all the living beings in this cosmos, including the plants, the animals, the worms, and etc. Jainism is inviting the ultimate principle for the soul, that is, everyone should take care of the earth as its own. The basic tenets of this Jainism are not to injure any living beings. This religion is insisting every Jain lay people and every believer to have that compassionate attitude towards the ecology and also every living creature in this earth. Jain people would sweep the ground clear to walk ahead, that they don't injure any living beings, that they will say every being, every human person should walk around and treat all the living creatures as they would want themselves to be treated. Jainism is a religion of compassion towards every living being in this cosmos, including the plants, the animals, the worms, etc.
Buddhism has contributed very much for the ecological conservation, to keep up the ecological balance. The principle of interdependence stands as an exceptional theory in pursuit of ecological balance, in pursuit of ecological conservation, in protecting our Mother Earth. To be is to be related. If we are related, somehow we are all dependent. Without a plant, the earth lacks that much of oxygen. If earth does not have sufficient oxygen to support the human beings, life on earth will not be possible. Here we see an interdependence of man, earth, and the oxygen. Buddhism has spoken. In fact, Buddhism has warned every human being, its believers and its readers, not to have a dominion, but to have a mutual, friendly, and peaceful coexistence. Who is human being to rule over the universe? Who is human being to exploit the nature? Who is human being to kill each other? The principle of interconnectedness, the principle of interdependence, and the principle of mutual coexistence, with reference to Adhavamsaka Sutra of Indian Buddhist tradition.
I discovered that there are over 250 verses in the Quran from the root khalaq, khaliq, khalq, وَقَلَّ شَيْءٍ فَقَدْرَهُ تَقْدِيرًا خَلَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَقَدْرَهُ تَقْدِيرًا خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ عَلَّمَهُ بَيَانًا. This is the key. And in those ayats, in those verses of the Quran, it talks about the birds and the bees and the mountains and the clouds and how Allah created the human from the sperm and all this, all elements. The first revelation, the first wahi was, in the name of your Lord who created.
We are taught in the Quran and through the Prophet ﷺ that human beings were placed here to look after creation and to serve God, but also serve His creation. In one hadith we're told that all of creation is dependent on God.
God created the entire universe and He made man the leader or the dominion or the superior of this whole universe to look after. Look after in the sense, it's our wide responsibility to take care of the universe and the privileges which we enjoy now. It's our forefathers, our ancestors, they secured everything, they contributed everything for us. The same way, it's our duty and our responsibility to safeguard the country and take part and to keep it apart for the coming generation. We teach others that the universe or the earth is the face of God. The recent encyclic of Pope Francis, Laudato Si, gives the clear idea of the vision of Christianity about this ecology.
Pope Francis has written a letter addressed to every person on this planet, urging us all to protect the earth, our common home. In the letter, he says, "The earth is God's gift to us, full of beauty and wonder, where the fruits of the earth belong to everyone. But what we see today is that our common home has never been so hurt and mistreated as it has been in the last 200 years. We have developed at a greater speed than we could ever have imagined. We have treated the earth like it has an unlimited supply of resources, taking more than our fair share from most people on the planet, as well as future generations to come. We have stripped the earth of its natural forests, contaminated the earth's waters, its land, and its air. Plants and species are becoming extinct at an alarming rate. The earth, our home, is beginning to look more and more like an immense pile of filth. Our increasing use of polluting fossil fuels, especially coal, oil, and gas, is helping to drive climate change, which is one of the biggest challenges we face today. Climate change affects us all, but it is the poorest communities who suffer the most. We are now at crisis point, where the future of our common home is under threat. And despite this crisis, there seems to be no slowdown in the lifestyles of the rich nations. Enormous gaps between the rich and the poor continue to rise. Between those who are trapped in poverty with few or no resources, and those who are consuming and wasting at an ever-increasing rate, leaving a trail of waste and destruction. The whole human family needs to work together so that we may sow beauty, not pollution and destruction. Our use of polluting fossil fuels also needs to be replaced without delay. And we need to stop treating the world's resources as an object for profit, with no thought on how our actions might affect the environment or future generations. So let's put love for the world and love for our neighbour into action by living together in harmony, listening to one another, caring for nature, and getting involved with society and politics. Let's undergo an eco-conversion in which we listen to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. This means taking seriously things like avoiding the use of plastic and paper, reducing water waste, separating rubbish, and using public transport as a part of our calling to protect creation. But more urgently, we need to slow down on how much we consume and throw away. We can find great joy and freedom in living simply, rather than always on the lookout for what we do not have. We are capable of these changes and making a new start. So let us make that start today. Signed, Pope Francis. Laudato Si, a letter from Pope Francis on care for our common home.
All my actions, or say most of my actions, has got a consequence. One to me and the other towards others. So whatever I do, and if any of those actions has got a bearing on, say, damaging the ecology or damaging the environment, definitely it affects me. But then more than me, it affects a lot of others, and I have no right to do that. Mark 12:31 says, "You shall love your neighbor as you love yourself." So now definitely this gives me a mandate that I am not supposed to harm my neighbor or harm another person in any way. So when we look at any of our actions which is going to cause damage to the environment or to the ecology, we are actually harming others.
Nature and the beautiful environment are the gracious and the most beautiful gift from God. By loving and caring them, we express our love towards God, the Creator. If we do not love the creation and the things in it, how can we say we love God who created it? All the religions promote the teaching that God is the Creator, and we have the responsibility and bounden duty to care for the earth and the creation, and through which we can express our love for God. Religions promote the care for the earth. All of us belong to one of such religions which promote care for the creation. Let us follow the teachings of all our religion and save the earth through the way of religion.